Okay, shalom, right? Fascinating lesson. I hope that you really get something out of it because this has been a bit of a surprise to me. I've been living this particular verse from Genesis, this week's Torah portion in Bereshit, the opening of we've started again the cycle of the Torah readings right at the very beginning, and it's a fascinating. There's no end to the wisdom that's hidden in that first Torah portion. Even the first few chapters of Genesis are absolutely, there's endless wisdom and endless insight and endless lessons to learn from the entire of Bereshith. But anyway, this week was focused on this because sometimes what happens is, let's go and have a look at the verse first. The two shall become one. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Sometimes what happens with the Torah portion of the week, we end up living it. We end up having this particular Torah portion slap us in the face and remind us that it's the Torah that is perfect and it's the ultimate and absolute truth. So this is what happened with me this week. It's some of the Torah is not easy lessons to learn, but at the same time, when I had that in my life, slapping me in the face, I'm thinking, I think I need to go and do an analysis of that. So I did that this morning, and then now, hopefully this afternoon, we'll be able to get this video out. There's some phenomenal concepts. Now, I feel like I've hit the ground running with this particular verse because it was so in my face this week, and then I've had to quickly put something together. But the things that I've had to put together, the wisdom is, it's like everything, it's so profound. It's sometimes difficult to know if you're able to if you're able to communicate the wisdom as you've received it. So I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to go through this. You got to bear in mind that some of these concepts that I'm going through are major. Every single thing that I'm talking about is a major concept that I've done hours and hours of teaching regarding it. So I don't want to flesh out the teaching this time. If you've been listening to some of my teachings previously, some of these concepts will be coming up, and you'll see how in this verse a lot of those are woven together really perfectly and beautifully. But like I say, they're very profound, very deep concepts, and I hope I can do them justice. But I've hit the ground running because this was this week's Torah portion. It's slapping me in the face. I do a quick analysis and I've just something to get to a video. Whether I can do that justice, time will tell. Let's go and make a start. So straight away we've got this incredibly profound concept. Okay, it's all mysterious and it's all coded and it can't just be taken literally. There's a depth to all these concepts and all these verses. So this one is no exception. It's talking about the overhanging excess in the curtains of the tent. Half of the extra curtain shall hang. Okay, so this is part of a verse talking about the curtains that hung in the Moshiach in the wilderness. It comes to 2,801. Regular, 425 ordinal. Together they come to 326, which is exactly the same as the regular and the ordinal of this verse, 3,226. Okay, so now we need to figure out how is this connected to this then, and what's this all about. Okay, so deep dive, right? Loads of stuff involved in this, and we're going to build up. I'm just going to go through some major concepts. When I first started to do some teachings on Vilna Gaon, the whole concept of Moshiach ben Yosef and what he wrote in Kol HaTorah, the highly secret messages he wrote in Kol HaTorah, how he linked that up to very secret and profound revelations to be in the Talmud, and how that's linked to his commentary on Tikkun Zohar. We're talking of mysterious levels of understanding. We're talking about deep, profound secrets, and we're going to see how they're all interlinked to this verse and to other concepts we found regarding Moshiach ben Yosef. But first of all, we've got to go and do a little bit of a deep dive down into this verse and what this verse particularly reveals to us. Hopefully he'll be able to draw it all together to form a clearer picture. So let's just start. Bearing in mind this is a start and it's going to get more and more profound as we go on. So we sarach ha'edef. So this word sarach is what the rabbis and sages say is the meaning of the name of Sarach, as in Sarach bat Asher. So Sarach bat Asher is spelled Shin Resh chet according to the Torah. But the rabbis point out that this particular word from the Torah is where the meaning of her name derives from. Sarach. It's exactly the same phonetically, except this is a samech rather than a shin. So it's exactly the same. Sarach. Okay, so this we know is related to the concept of Sarach Bat Asher, and we know the concept of Sarach Bat Asher is related to the final letter here, and she's part of the 5 strong leaves that part of the cup of salvation, the 5 aspects of Moshiach that relate to the 5 aspects of the name Yod He Waw He. She is in one respect part of that 5, and then in another respect that is Rachel. And I've done teachings about Sarach and Rachel and how they're interconnected very profoundly and related to the concept of Malkuth, related to the final letter here of the name Yod He Waw He. Okay, so you can go easily search the videos and bring out the videos that are Sarach and Rachel. Okay, if you were interested in that. However, let's carry on. So the sages say that this is where she gets the name from. Why? Because in the Torah she's mentioned as the 70 that are going into exile. She's also mentioned as going into Eretz Israel. So she's obviously gone into the exile as part of the 70. She's endured the entire of the exile within Egypt. She's gone through the entire desert, and then she's gone into Eretz Israel. And then she's part of she's even classed as the wise woman, you know, during King David's reign. So there's a lot of information about her. Just wait a minute. Okay, I've just brought this up. If you were interested in finding anything out about Sarach Bat Asher, there's a lot of it written in this particular article on it's here. You can, if you were to Google that, you could bring it up. There's a lot of interesting things. I obviously don't want to go into great depth in this lesson because I've gone through it previously. And it mentions all about it being related to her being alive in King David's time. She was the wise woman. It says here, look, it's talking about her longevity. You know, the excess hanging over the excess curtain relates to her excess death. The Torah indicates that she lived a long time. It's a very mysterious revelation. Okay, so it's pointed out, even the Torah gives evidence of this, but the sages go even further and identify her. It says here, look, an additional tradition of Sarach's longevity as her still alive in the time of King David, and identifies her with the wise woman of Abel Beth Makkah. When Joab, David's military commander, asked her, "Who are you?" she replied, and this is 2 Samuel 20:19. You can get the whole story in there. It's about her handing over the one man rather than the entire city getting killed. It says, I am one of those who seek the welfare of the faithful, Shlomi Emunah in Israel. And from there they decided she was the faithful, peaceful and faithful of Israel, as being peaceful in terms of fulfilling. So she was the one who fulfilled the faithful of Israel, i.e. I was the 70th in number going into Egypt. Okay, so in rabbinical exegesis, she is saying to Joab, I am one of the Israelites who went down into Egypt with Jacob. I completed Shalomeh, the count of Israel, the Emunah Yisrael, a wordplay on the root, same as Shalom, referring both to peace, welfare and completion to the 70 souls that went down to Egypt. Do you want to kill the entire city and also me, who is an important woman? In this matter, Sarach saved the lives of the inhabitants of her town. So you'd have to go into 2 Samuel 20:19 to get that whole story. Okay, so I've just filled you in a little bit on that. But if you want to go and have a look at some more information regarding Sarach Bat Asher, it's all there. And we've all got a little bit of Sarach Bat Asher within us. That's the way that I understand some of these key messianic figures. And this is what I've said previously. It's good to connect to these powerful forces. She was the one that found the bones of Yosef. There's great significance in her. Even though it's not obvious the significance of her role to play in the revelation of Moshiach, it's a little bit hidden. and it's a little bit secret and you've got to do a little bit more of a dive into these concepts, it's there for you if you want to connect to it. And we should be inspired. We should be inspired by all these great figures that are a part of that messianic revelation that we so desire, that transition from exile into redemption. Okay, we've got to connect to these powerful forces because guess what? Sirach was part of that force. Moshe was part of that force. Yeshua has been part of that force. We've got to connect them. We've got to connect to the tzaddikim who have been the forces and revelations in each and every generation. We've got to connect to the power of the sages, the righteous ones. Okay, it's very important. So that's why I've put that up. Right, let's go back. Okay, so in that article that I've just shown you that you can go and have a look at, also mentions the fact that her name is connected to this particular verse in the Torah regarding the excess curtain, the Sarach. Okay, so we know that that's connected to that. She's got to start to ask the question then, what's this got to do with marriage? Okay, so she's part of the name of Yod He Waw He that represents the final He. In certain contexts, in others it's Rachel, like I've pointed out, and in the teaching that I did previously, I'll tell you what aspects of faith both Sirach and Rachel represent in terms of the final letter He of the name Yod He Waw He, the whole Malkuth. Okay, and there's got to be unity between that. However, obviously she represents the letter He. It's the letter, the bride, the divine feminine, and that's got to unite ultimately with the divine masculine. It represents earth needing to unite with heaven. So there's all kinds of very macrocosmic aspects to the concept of Sirach Bat Asher and what she actually represents and how she is part of that whole revelation of the name Yod He Waw He ultimately. Okay, so let's just have a look what else is connected to that then. We can see here, look, straight away, we know that this is talking about Sirach. Why? Because this is Sirach spelt out. It comes to 1288. It's also got an ordinal of 136. 136 is the regular and ordinal of Kiseh Dawid, the throne of David. So talked last lesson about the importance and significance of the throne of David and building it up in the series that I did on a shield for you. I am a shield for you, and in that it goes through the whole concept of building up that throne of David by doing the work of Moshiach ben Yosef, as the Vilna Gaon said in his book called Hator. So Kiseh Dawid, throne of David, is 95, regular, ordinal 41, together come to 136. So that is exactly the same as Sirach. So she's important. She's important, but we've all got to connect to aspects of her. She's also related very much to Yaakov. 147 years of Yaakov's life, plus 147 times 3 is 441, which is Emeth, truth. Which is, that's what you've got to give truth to Yaakov, to empower Yaakov. To arouse Yaakov. Sirach was the one who told, according to the Midrash, Sirach was the one who told Yaakov, Od Yosef Chai, Yosef is still alive. Okay, and this aroused him. He'd been devoid of the Ruach HaKodesh until that point. And then it says that he was enlivened, brought back to life. And the sages have a lot to say about that. It's all beautiful stuff. It's all mystical, and it's all coded messages for things that we can apply to our own lives, all of us together, individually and collectively. So Sirach Bat Asher, we can see very clearly, is connected because it's the Mispar Gadol regular plus the regular of the spelling out of Sirach Bat Asher to the first filling is 3,226. Guess what? It's important when it comes to this verse. It's I read this not so long back actually. I think it was Rav Ginsburg that pointed this out, and he said that it's as if she married through Yosef somehow. She became like a wife to Yaakov, or something happened. Oh no, she united with Yosef, and they was able to give birth to their own. Yosef's father and what would be her grandfather. She was the grandfather, or Yaakov was her grandfather. So there was a unity between Yosef and Sarach. They were both in Egypt or something along those lines. No, there was a unity between Yosef and Sarach, let me get this right. And that unity was as if it was a marriage between Yosef and Sarach, and then that unity between Sarach and Yosef gave birth to Yaakov, remembering that Yaakov represents the name Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh and the Vav, the heaven that needs to be really regenerated so that abundance can flow from heaven to earth. And I read about that in the book of the Hebrew letters. I'm just going to try and get it to just read it out to share that with you. I'm just piecing it together in my mind. I've got all these jigsaw pieces of the puzzle, and then, like I say, I've done this hit the ground running, and I'm just trying to think, oh, where did I read that? And I thought, all right, I'll just share that with you because it's really wonderful. Okay, so I don't know whether you can actually see that, but that's taken from the book The Hebrew Letters, okay, by Rav Ginsburg, an excellent book. And it just puts, he's talking about the letter Tet in the Hebrew letters, and talking about the Haftarah of Rosh Hashanah, and he mentions this name Sarach in here. He says, Tet's an important letter. It's the letter that contains the hidden light. But anyway, that's a whole other lesson that I plan to do. I've done the analysis on it, but it's a whole other lesson I plan to do. It says, both the Torah reading, the Haftarah, and the first day of Rosh Hashanah relate to the miracle of pregnancy and birth. 3 great women were remembered for pregnancy on Rosh Hashanah: Sarah, Rachel, and Hannah. Together their names possess 9 letters. The initial letters of the 3 names spell, in correct chronological order, the name of another great woman in Torah, Sarach, the daughter of Asher, whose name means happiness, the level of mother as explained in Kabbalah and Hasidut. The sum of all 4 names equals 9 times Olam, world, the secret of the pregnant world, as discussed above. This one, emanating from the head of 3, is found in Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's teaching in Pirkei Avot. So the fact that Sarach's names emanates from the other 3 names is the same as there are 3... one emanating from the head of 3 is found also in Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's teaching in Pirkei Avot. So I hope you're getting some idea of the significance of this concept. Sarach is a concept, it's not just a name, it's a profound concept we've all got to connect to. There are 3 crowns, and the crown of the goodly name, actually a 4th crown, ascends above them all. The woman of valor is the crown of her husband. So again, we've got a connection to this. Sarach bat Asher, she's the goodly name, the 4th crown, which ascends above them all. The woman of valor, and is the crown of her husband, as explained above in the secret of the letter Zayin. Sarach was the one to bring her grandfather Yaakov the tiding that his lost son Yosef was still alive. By this she enlivened the spirit of Yaakov himself, and it's Tehi Ruach Yaakov, and the spirit of Yaakov came to life, as though spiritually bearing her own grandfather. It was thus as though the soul of Yosef married the soul of his niece, Sarach, to give birth to the soul of his father, her grandfather Yaakov. The total of their 3 names is 846, is also a multiple of 9, 9 times Mazel Tov. In reduced numbering they equal 45, the triangle of 9. For this she was blessed with eternal life, the divine secret of 9, as taught by our sages. So, extremely important concepts then, and we can see then why the whole concept of Sarach as well might be related to this verse. Why? Because I just read it, and it's just bringing it to mind. She's like the 4th crown that emanates from the other names that I talked about, Sarach, Rachel, and Chaya, who all gave birth, are all connected to giving birth at Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so all wonderful stuff there. Massive, massive connections, like the woman of valor, and marrying Yosef, and this being so essential to revive Yaakov. All these massive, massive concepts. So we're going to hope you can start to see, when we're talking in terms of coded language and what's hidden in these verses, and not just literal, but there's profound coded messages that are related to profound coded secrets regarding unlocking doors that get us from exile into redemption. Okay? Messianic levels of consciousness and awareness of the name Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. Right, so now it gets interesting, and now I've talked about this in previous teachings. Okay, so this is a very profound concept. I'll read it off and then I'll read you where we get this from the Talmud. So now we're going to start to link major concepts found here to major concepts that we've just read, this Sarach Bat Asher, how that's then related to major concepts that the Vilna Gaon have revealed to us, and then how that's related to the whole concept of Messiah and redemption. So this is taken from chapter 2 of the book called Torah. This is aspect 50 of 156. 156 is the gematria of Yosef, and Vilna Gaon mentioned 150 different aspects that we could learn to reveal the concept of Moshiach ben Yosef, this being aspect 50 in that book. So Chochmat Sofrim, where did he get that concept from? The wisdom of the scribes. And this is all the commentary found in that book. Okay, but then we're going to have a look at the gematria behind what is actually said and what is pointing to us, because this is, Vilna Gaon was so coded. Some of the coded messages he left were so intricate. You really need to work very hard to reveal, well, what exactly was he saying? It isn't obvious. You've got to unravel it layers and layers and layers in order to fathom exactly, well, what was he saying? He wrote it in such a coded shorthand way, and he expected you to have such a profound high level of understanding that his commentaries are not accessible to anybody. It's very high levels of commentary that are very inaccessible to the vast majority of us. We need to break them down, figure out, well, what exactly was he saying then? Let's figure it out. So it says here, the wisdom of the scribes, see Tikkun Zohar, Tikkun 70, the Gaon commentary there. So already when they mention Tikkun Zohar, we know we're talking something, it's high level Kabbalistic teachings that you would struggle to get this in English anyway. And Tikkun Zohar is the 70 interpretations of the word Bereshith. Okay, so it's a very mystical Kabbalistic secret teachings. So there, right there, we've got we're talking high level stuff. It says, one of the matters listed by our sages as connected with the footsteps of Moshiach is that the wisdom of the sages will stink. This is taken from Sotah 49. So this is the Talmud, Sotah 49. The Gaon explains in Tikkun Zohar, page 139, that this refers to the wisdom in gematria hints is the mystery of the chariot, and in numerology. So we've got big concepts there. Mystery of the chariot. It's you've got to be an elite level of you've got to be these are wisdoms that are only given over to elite levels of elite kind of people. The mystery of the chariot is not taught to anybody. So we can see again, you've got a lot of high level stuff that's inaccessible to the vast majority of us. And in numerology, this is taken from the commentary of the Gaon in Tikkun Zohar, page 5, that reveal the Moshiach ben Yosef. So he's giving us some slight hints to something. He's left us little clues, gematria hints, mystery of the chariot, numerology, all connected to the revelation of Moshiach ben Yosef, all connected to this concept of Tikkun Zohar, and it's all connected to this concept, the wisdom of the sages will stink. Okay, so there's a lot involved in this, a lot of unravelling. So let's just start where? Let's go to the Talmud then. And it's written in there from Sotah 49b, and the wisdom of the scribes will putrefy, will stink basically, and people who fear sin will be held in disgust, and the truth will be absent. Okay, what revives Yaakov? The truth. What truth? Od Yosef Chai, Yosef is still alive. The truth that Sarach Bat Asher gave over to Yaakov, that brought him back to life. We just read it in that book. It's what I talk about all the time. Okay? So where do we go from here then? Let's have a look at the gematria then. This is taken from the Talmud, Sotah 49b. Chochmat Sofrim Tisrach. Okay? A kochmat sofrim tisrach, the wisdom of the scribes will stink. It's talking about the, it's sometimes translated sages, but it's actually sofrim, the scribes, the ones who write the Torah scrolls, and the ones who are like writing all the Talmud and things like that, I do presume. But he says the wisdom of the scribes will stink. People who fear sin will be held in disgust, and the truth will be absent. What truth? Od Yosef Kai. It's all about Moshiach ben Yosef. He's telling you it's all about the secret of Moshiach ben Yosef. The Vilna Gaon is in a coded way telling you about the entire hidden concept of Moshiach ben Yosef, and it's somehow connected to this concept that the wisdom of the sages will stink. It's regarding what's written in the Talmud, and it's connected to all these big mysterious concepts. Okay, so if we look at the gematria of this, however, 1544 is 4 times Yeshua. 4 times Yeshua. So he's saying this through the numerology, it's going to reveal concepts about Moshiach ben Yosef. So what does this particular aspect to be found in Kol HaTorah that the Vilna Gaon says is going to reveal the concept of the Moshiach ben Yosef through gematria? What does it reveal? Who does it reveal? It reveals that Yeshua is Moshiach ben Yosef. Okay, just through the gematria, this hint that is given to us, the gematria hints. Okay, the mystery of the chariot. That means the mystery of the chariot is all about the person that carries that particular soul. It's the human that carries a particular soul. Yeshua was the human that was a chariot for the soul of Moshiach ben Yosef, the Yechida. Okay, it's just simply allowing us to understand and know that truth. The ordinal of and the wisdom of the scribes will stink is 212, which is 4 times Yeshua. So it's the regular and the ordinal of pointing to exactly the same thing. Yeshua is the concept of Moshiach ben Yosef, that the wisdom of the scribes that stinks, that the truth is absent from, conceals. But we take the concealment, and from the concealment we get the revelation itself. Okay, we take the darkness and get the light from it. We take the evil, what the scribes have done to cause the scriptures to stink, to conceal the truth of who the Moshiach ben Yosef is. We can take that evil and transform it into good. Okay, and the Vilna Gaon is pointing at this to us to do. So from this evil, the scribes that have lied, and why do we know that they've lied? Because it says the truth is absent. What is absent of truth is lie, it's sheker, it's falsehood. So we know somehow the scribes have concealed the truth regarding Moshiach ben Yosef, and in doing so, their wisdom stinks. Okay? It's all coded messages though, it's not to point fingers. This is the will of Yod-Heh-Wah to do this. He was the one that concealed Moshiach ben Yosef because he hides his name. And he hides it in the place you'd least expect to find it. He hides his light in darkness. He hides his good in evil. Okay? He hides the truth in a lie. It's for us to find and work to reveal that, to transform it and do our work so that we will feel that we have earned the right to receive that he desires to bestow. Okay? So you take this word tisrach. If you notice, by the way, Chochmat sofrim tisrach, the wisdom of the scribes will stink. Go back up to this first verse. Sarach ha'edef, but look at the end. Ha or defet, like the curtains. Tisrach, that are overhanging, that will overhang in future tense, isn't it? Shall overhang. Tisrach. So we know sarach is the related to Sarach Bat Asher. We can see all these matters that we've just been reading about. We've got this one word, tisrach, but this also can be interpreted as to stink. Okay, it's the overhanging curtains, but it's also connected to the concept of the way the sages shall stink. So we know that the sages are also, the wisdom of the sages shall stink, but somehow that's related to Sarach. She's the holy opposite that. She's the holy opposite, the power to reveal. This is why we've got to connect to these concepts. This is the power to conceal the truth that Moshiach is Yeshua is the Moshiach ben Yosef. Tisrach, which the sages say is related to Sarach bat Asher, is the power to reveal from that darkness the truth that is hidden. Od Yosef Chai. Okay? If we take this word Tisrach and search through the scriptures, through the Torah, for places where these letters come up in order, within words, we find here it comes up Tisrach. It's all highlighted there. It's the fine woolen coat, so it's Yosef's coat, ketoneth pasim. It's also the same coat that the virgin daughters of Israel wear. They wear the ketoneth pasim. And then it's Wayir u echal, fine woolen coat, and his brothers saw. Okay, so when you search for this word showing up within the Torah, in the same position within a word, sometimes it's at the beginning of a word, you can do a search. I don't think it shows up at the beginning of the word. I think this was the only place that I got these particular letters to show up in order within a word, at the same position within each word. And as you can see here, it is third from the end. So it's the third letter from the end of the word in each occasion. So it's the third letter from the end of each word where the words are in succession to each other. That's spelled Tisrach. I'm pretty sure that's the only place in the Tanakh where that word comes up like that, and it just so happens to be here. Fine woolen coat. So it's again massive pointing out to the concept of the coat of Yosef that caused the problems, and the brothers that saw it and got jealous and tried to destroy it, and to try to destroy the whole concept of Moshiach ben Yosef. Okay, and in doing so, they actually initiated the whole will of Yoteh Waweh to conceal the concept of Moshiach ben Yosef in exile to bring about a greater salvation. Okay. This here, 1308, is 327 times 4. Okay? It's exactly the same as, this is a curse from which Yeshua is cursed. Yimach Shemo Zikro, may his name be erased in his memory. So in Rabbinic Judaism, the wisdom of the scribes that stink, is called Yeshua. So if we take this regular 643 and we take away the curse, which is the initial letters Yimach Shemo Zikro, where Yeshua's had his name erased, he's had the letter Ayin taken off. Ayin means eye, so we can't see the truth. We've got to really search for it. How? Well, Vilna Gaon said, Gematria hints, that's one way. If we take the curse away from this number here, may his name be erased in his memory, it comes to 327. Okay? 327. Moshiach ben David comes to an ordinal of 82. Moshiach ben Yosef, an ordinal of 116. And Moshiach ben Ephraim, 129, comes to 327. Okay? So we know that we take the curse away and we're left with the Moshiach, a revelation of the Moshiach that's connected up to this. And as we can see, all these incredible things it's connected to. Bearing in mind, this Tisrach is exactly the same letters as Tisrach, the overhanging excess, and that's all related to Sarach bat Asher, who is, as we've read in that book, the woman of valor. The crown of a husband. So it's all wonderful stuff, and it's really quite incredible. It's really quite incredible to me how, when we are reading the weekly Torah portion, how that can actually be a source of great inspiration to us each week. I'm actually going to leave it there. I was going to do another 2 or 3 slides, but I'm actually going to leave it there and do another episode on this, simply because this is so profound. You really need to go, maybe even look these things up for yourself. Look up Sotar 49b, look up Kol HaTorah. The entire book of Kol HaTorah is on Sefaria.org. So you just write in Kol HaTorah, you can go find these out for yourself. This is just one aspect of 156 that we've got to know about regarding Moshiach ben Yosef. And look in the one aspect, how much wisdom that you can actually glean from that. This is just to encourage us to just keep looking and looking, so we're connecting to these major concepts. Okay? And with that, I will say shalom. Please subscribe and share. Thank you.